Brad Drew here. Thanks for joining me. I hope everyone's having a great holiday. I've been playing around with a process that involves some old apps, and I've had a blast. And I've had a lot of people ask about this, so I wanted to get this video out there for you and share some of what I've been doing. Let's just take a look at some of the tools that we'll use today. One of the apps is called Glaze, and it's been around forever, and it's a painterly app, and it offers a variety of different textures and filters and things that you can use. But one of the things that makes it really cool is that you can actually create a transparency. So that allows you to blend with textures, and those textures then kind of come through in the holes in that transparency. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. It's really neat effect. We'll also be using another old and favorite app called Image Blender. Been around forever. Do a really nice job of allowing you to blend images together, mask, and a variety of other things. It has a wealth of blend modes that let you determine how you're going to do those how those images are going to get blended together. SnapSeed, of course, been around forever. We've all used it for years now. And I use it to finish off some of these images after we get them pretty well there. Then I've added some visual effects using lens light. Brain Fever Media produces a number of different apps with different lighting effects and suns and moons and dinosaurs, lots of different things that you can plug into your images to add to creative effects. But the one I'm going to use today is the lens light. And then Daze is another one that I'll be using. JixiePix software is a company that makes a variety of apps, both for iPhone and Android. And once you kind of learn one of the apps, the interface is pretty much the same for all of them, or very similar anyway. Been around forever, very basic, but really fun, and lots of different variables that you can apply. We won't be doing much with this app today, but there's another app I wanted to let you know about. It's called Wurble. I just did a video about it, and I'll include a link to that video. Well, let's see, how will I do that? I guess in the description on this one, I'll include a link to this one. If you go out to my YouTube channel and just search for Rad Drew Photography, you'll see this in the free section there. It's just a quick tutorial on how to use this app to animate some of these images. So let's go ahead and take a look here. These are some of the effects that I'll be sharing with you on how to achieve. This was created using the image or the app Glaze, and choosing a different filter on that, and then creating a transparency. And then I've used a texture. In this case, it's a Flypaper texture, the company called Flypaper. I have a discount code I can share with you on getting, if you wish to purchase those, you can get I think it's a 15% discount. But they're just great textures. And notice what's cool about this. When I created this image of this actually 3 trees together, and I applied this painterly effect in Glaze, but then I went in and masked so that the effect was just on those trees. The background drops completely out, and you notice the holes kind of in here. Well, you create a transparency, a PNG file transparency using this app, and then when you blend this graphical image here of the trees with the texture comes right through the holes in that PNG transparency that we've created. So it's really wacky. It'll become clear here in a second. This is another one. These are those 3 trees with a basic glaze effect applied. Just kind of show you some of the progression of how these work along the way. Here's another one that was chosen a different filter, or probably a different blend mode to get the effect the way it is. Again, you see the texture coming through the holes in the lines of the trees, which was allowed by that transparent file. Here's another one I had. These are actually 3 of the same tree. Using Image Blender, I would add an image on a background, then flatten that, add another tree image, and flatten that, and then add the 3rd tree image. And it's again, Image Blender. I love it for its simplicity, but it's also very powerful. There are other blending apps out there, like Superimpose X, for example. It's a remarkable tool, but man, it is really complex, and I find it very challenging to use. Whereas Blender, Image Blender, it's very fundamental, and it allows you to do basic things, sizing your images and masking and some things like that. So we'll take a look at how that works, and how I've used it in this case. This is another image here. This is an image right out of Image Blender. It's that transparency. I haven't blended this with a texture yet. And in this case, I didn't mask the tree. So we've even got some of the background coming through with that glaze texture. So you've got lots of different ways that you can use this tool to create different looks and effects. And it just so happens I've done these with trees. I have a lot of tree photographs, and I like the idea that I could create these, kind of like looking through the branches effect. But you could apply glaze to any kind of image and get some really remarkable results. Here's another one. This is several different images combined that I created the texture myself by blending several abstracts and then using the glaze image, which you can see the white of the tree here. I applied that. Again, it blended that in Image Blender, and it gives it almost three-dimensional, very tactile type of look. There's that image there. There's another take on that image. I applied a different background here. And again, this is maybe just kind of studies in different steps along the way to getting where you want to go. And this is just one of many. This is another one that I did. Again, this is created with glaze, and you've got these little spikes coming out. You can control whether you have those or not based on how you do your mask. But then I've applied a texture behind this, and I put the tree on top of the texture, and it just, again, gives you a very abstract kind of suggestion of a tree. This is a ginkgo tree here in Indianapolis at the Crown Hill Cemetery. It's an incredible tree if you look closely at these leaves. But again, what I did was using glaze to get a particular effect. And then I played around with different blend modes that gave me these different tones. And I just really liked the way it turned out. Just a lot of fun. I did one, I turned it to black and white, and it was also quite impactful, I thought. Oh, there it is. I have it in here. I didn't realize. So just another take on that same image. This is another one that was done using glaze, very abstract, but this is a European weeping beech tree. And again, as you stand back and look at this from a distance, it takes on the form of a tree. As you get closer, you see these independent kind of individual components. And I just thought it was really fun. Again, it's Flypaper texture behind it. Actually, this may be a texture from another source. I have to check on that. I'm not sure, but there's a bunch of different textures. I'll put a list of places where you can get these textures from people that I trust. This is another blend of the glaze result put on a Flypaper texture using Image Blender. And again, using the different blend modes, it will give these different effects. The white lines of the tree would be different with a different blend mode. We'll see how that works. This is one of my favorites. This is just a maple tree. But if you look closely, again, using glaze, I was able to create this kind of spaghetti-like ink or paint on the page, and then blending it with a Flypaper texture, which I thought was a great contrasting color to this. You can see the holes due to the transparency. You're seeing right through the tree, and that texture is behind it. And I love that dimensionality of it, and the abstract nature of it. So those are some examples. Well, here's another example. For this one, same thing, glaze. I've got the holes going through due to the transparency. And then I've used snow days to add the snow effect and kind of give this a Christmassy look. I think I may have used lens light to put a light on the top. Here's another example. Now this one I took it a step further and I used the app Wordle that I mentioned. We're not going to talk about that in this video, but I've got another one out on my YouTube channel, free video there that talks about how to use Wordle to create these kinds of effects. A lot of fun. Here's another one. Again, I took that same image that I created using Glaze and Blender, and I used Wordle to add the light and the kind of floating light through the image and stuff. A lot of fun. Another one from that same image before, again, using Wordle, a few others here. I didn't intend to spend a lot of time on those. This is another one. I really like the contrast here, again, using the texture because it was kind of gold in contrast to the red. I thought got a really interesting look. Another one here, blending the Flypaper texture with the result from Glaze. Again, you've got these holes in the tree because of the transparency that we saved it as. And I love that, how the texture comes through. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this works. So let me go out to grab Glaze. So I'm going to slide down on the screen here. You'll notice in my tray, Glaze is right here. For whatever reason, my version of it does not show the icon on this icon here. It should have a blob of paint on there. I don't know. Maybe I need to reinstall my app, but it's working. It's functioning. If it wasn't here in the tray, I'd simply type the name of the app, Glaze, right here in the search bar, and it would pop right up. So I'll go ahead and tap on Glaze. Let's go ahead and open that. And this is what the interface looks like. And it's taking me into an image that I've already worked on in the past. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go get a different image. So to do that, down below, you have your tools here. If you want to have a description of what those tools do, if you tap on the question mark, you'll get these little call outs that come up and tell you what you need to do. You can get information about Glaze and other products made by that company with the information button. But then down below here, it tells you this is where you load your images. This is where you can do your masking. And that's what we're going to use today to do a mask and then save that mask as a transparency. And then this is where you go when you're ready to save. You've got these styles here that you can page through. I'm not going to deal too much with the tools here. You can actually create several different looks and then have them displayed up across the top and pick which ones you want. But I don't find that very useful. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that. So what I'm going to do is start here and tap on the photo load image icon. Let me turn off the question mark first so we don't have to mess with that. There we go. And so I'll tap on the images there, and it takes me out to my camera roll. Now for today, I have a little album of this tree right here. So there's the image. I've already processed it in SnapSeed and kind of done a little bit about what I wanted to do with it. So I'm bringing in the processed image. And once you bring it in, as soon as you start tapping on these presets here, it's going to apply an effect. So let's just see what that looks like. There's one you can see right from the very get-go. This is a very thick paint. Now, you can't really control, there's no opacity slider here or anything like that to control that. But as you page through each of these, they're all very different. So there's another one. I mean, some of these I like just as they are. We don't have to do any masking or anything. I mean, I think it's just a fun app for getting these crazy effects. But what I have learned with doing this is that if I find one of these text or one of these presets that allows for holes to be in the image, like here, this particular set here of these eyeball icons, as I tap on those, look at how you can see there's our tree, and it's quite abstract. But I can go through, here's another version of that with our tree. Again, still very abstract. Here's another one. That's getting, I can see more of the tree now. And let's do one more over here, and maybe even that one. Let's try, hard to choose. Okay, and you'll run into that. So I'm going to choose that particular filter. What I want to do now is go down here and do the mask. So I'll tap on that. It's a little X icon here. And what I want to do is I want to set this to be a a transparency. And that's what this icon right here will do. As I tap on that, it gives us this kind of checkerboard. And I'm going to take the brush and my finger, I'm going to select the brush and then take my finger and just paint over the tree. Now, there's no brush size here. There's no opacity on the brush or anything like that. You simply have one size fits all brush, and I'm just painting over this tree. Now, what we're going to do here in a second, I'm going to maybe get a little bit of the ground down here like that. And what's going to happen, it's going to eliminate everything behind the tree here. But I want to show you, I'm going to get really wide on this part of the tree and kind of go out of the lines. I want to show you what happens. So I'm going to go up now. I've created my mask. I've selected transparency right here, and I'm going to click the check mark. And there's our image. Notice how it dropped everything out of the background. Now, you see this little pile of little squigglies here. I'm going to go back to the mask, and that's where I went way outside the lines. Well, now I'm going to come down here and tap on the eraser, and I'm going to take that away. And you'll encounter this on your own, but I just wanted to kind of show you how you can kind of control that effect and how it looks outside the edge of the image. So do that. I'll choose. See, now I got rid of all those little white speckly items. So now there's our image, our mask that we've created. And if you look closely, you can see the gray here is showing through the tree. So now I'm going to go and I want to save my transparency. So I'm going to save it right here, check mark. And when you get in here, you want to save it to your gallery. But one of the things that, and we've talked about this in other videos, and those of you who do iPhone photography know that you want to save your result from an app at the largest size possible for the best resolution. Well, what we have down here, the source is typically the largest size. But watch what happens when I tap on large here. The large is bigger than the source. So you can check on that if you want. I'm going to go ahead and choose large, and then I'm going to tap on the gallery, and it just saved the image to the gallery. Now, I'm just going to let you know, this is a very funky app. It's been around a long time. The fact that it still has survived, still works and has survived so many iOS updates is a miracle to me, but they still maintain the app. So one of the things I found, though, is sometimes it will say, I can't save that. It's just a fluke, resave, try it again, and 9 times out of 10, it will work. If that doesn't work, close the app and restart it, just like you might with any other. So now let's go out and look in the camera roll at the result. So here is our PNG file. And you can see how, and when I tap on it, it turns black again. But if I'll tap it again, you can see what we've ended up with is a whole bunch of these little squiggly lines and a white background. So this is a PNG file. If I swipe up, I'm in the camera roll looking at the image. If I swipe up, you'll notice it tells me it's a PNG. That's how we're getting that transparent effect. And it gives you the other metadata about the image. So it's a decent size image with a good resolution and so on. So at that point, what I want to do now is go out to Image Blender, which is this icon right here, red and white. Tap on it, and this is what the interface looks like. We'll get into some of the tools here in a second, but down below you have 2 little places where you can add an image. So what I'm going to do, I want to put a texture in the background. So the background is over here on the left. So I'll tap on background, and I'm going to go out to my photos, and I have all of my my texture files from Topaz, I'm sorry, I keep saying Topaz, from Flypaper Textures. Kathleen Clemens has some. I've purchased those. I've also created some of my own, but then I've created an album out here where I have put my textures, and here they are. Here are my Flypaper Textures, and here are a couple from Distressed FX. So what I'm going to do in this case, let's see, that tree. Let's go ahead and choose one of the Flypaper Textures here. Now, this particular collection is all square. Not all of them are, but these in this collection are square. So I'm going to tap, let's just pick one. You can go nuts trying to decide, and you might try several different textures before you land on one you want. Let's try this one right here. So there's our texture. Notice it goes in as a square. Now, if you wanted, you could rotate that around and everything, but I'm going to leave it just the way it is. I'm going to come over here to the other square, and now I'm going to go get our photograph that we just created, this tree, and I'll pop it in. Now, first thing I notice is that it's cropped off at the top and the bottom. So what I want to do is arrange that top layer, that tree layer, to fit in our texture. So I'm going to go up here to the share button, and I'm sorry, the arrange button, and I'm just going to take 2 fingers and I'm going to size that to fit within the texture. So it looks something like that. And at that point, I've got it arranged the way I want. So I'm going to save that arrangement. So I'll save that. So we've gotten out of the arrange tool. We're still in Image Blender. And now I can begin to work with this image. So if we go down to the bottom here, you can see that our texture is over here and our tree image is over here. And if I slide that little slider all the way to the left, I'm seeing just the texture. If I slide all the way to the right, I'm seeing the texture with the full view of the tree. Now, the cool thing about Image Blender, if I tap on this blender icon here, or I can take my finger and just swipe up on the screen, look at all the blend modes we have. I mean, I don't know, I've never counted them, but there's probably at least 20. And each one, it's a set of instructions to the program on how to blend the background with the foreground. So as we look at these, right now, I'll tap on normal. So there's normal. And it doesn't really mark this really well. You can see normal's a little darker. That's the only way you know that that's what you've selected. But as I page through these, there's multiply. See how it changes? There's screen, and now it's added a white line as our foreground. There's an overlay, darken, and you can go through color burn, gives us a very dark effect. So you can see we're starting to get lots of different looks here. And I often find myself, sometimes having done this a lot, I kind of have an idea of what it's going to look like, but oftentimes I get a surprise as I get in here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to pick one of these. I kind of like this dark one, and I'm going to pick that, and then I can slide my slider all the way to the right, or I can back it off a little bit and let more of the background come. But I like the really dark, I think. And let's just see. Actually, I don't think I had that turned up before. So now I'm kind of looking at these going, wow, I like some of these others. But you can see how, I mean, look at that one. That's just so cool, I think. Very festive looking. If you're going to create this as a holiday Christmas tree or something, I kind of like that. Here's one that's a little greener, kind of more that way. But anyway, I'm going to just pick one. Actually, look at that one. That's normal. I kind of like that best. It almost looks like snow on the tree. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And at this point, I can save it out to the camera roll. And I can tap the share icon there, and I can save it to photos. So it's just saved that combination out in the camera roll. But at this point, we could be done and take it into other apps and begin to do some other things. And let's go ahead and do that. I saved it to the camera roll. So let's go look at it. There it is. There's our image from that we just saved. And now let's say I wanted to add a little bit of snow to this and give it a kind of a winter type effect. So what I'm going to do is go out to the app Snow Daze, and I'll type in SN, and that's as far as I have to go. And there is the app right there in my tray. So I'll go ahead and tap on that. And this is what the interface looks like for most of the Jixi Pix apps. And again, this is one that works on iPhone and Android. Not all of the apps work on Android, but a good percentage of them does. This one is one that does. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to choose Get Photo at the bottom. And it's going to take me out to my recent photo. There it is. There's the one I want right there. Sorry about that. Okay. And notice as soon as I pop it in, it's giving me an effect already on it. It's kind of cool. But what I can do right here here's your home button. When you tap on the home button, you have all of these things here. You can crop the image, you can save it, you can share it, etc. What I want to do is start going into the editing tools here. So this first one, I tap on that. It allows me to choose from presets that exist, and I'm just tapping through them. And usually what I do is tap along until I come to something that's close to what I'm looking at, and I'll use that as a starting point. And I kind of like that one that retains. That one's number 5. Let's remember that one. But again, a lot of times I find myself going through and looking for something. And now these are effects that I've created for other projects. So we could choose any of those. Let's go ahead and choose that one. Next, I'm going to come in here to this set of icons, the bullet points, tap on that. And you notice I can affect all of these different variables, the image color. So if I drop the color down, I just took all that color out of there, which is really kind of a fun thing to do when you want to either soften the color a little bit or even go to a black and white, which is something that I do a lot. So there is that. Now, the next thing I can do is whiten that scene. So if I slide to the right, it's adding more of a snow blizzardy look. If I slide down, it's taking that out a little bit. I can also play with contrast. So if I drop the contrast down, you can, a lot of times you just need to move these sliders and see what they do. And then of course the cloud strength, you have, if you tap on this icon right here, you can choose from several different cloud looks. So let me just shift to a different one. And now, so I've chosen a different cloud cover, but if I back the slider down, I can drop that coverage, make it less strong, or I can bring it back up and find the sweet spot that works. And if I want, I can go in here and choose look at several different ones until I find one that that really, floats my boat in terms of what it looks like. I like that. So there, maybe intensify that a little bit. And then the next one, this lets you affect the snow strength and the snow fade. So the strength, if I back the strength off, the snow becomes less and less, all the way down to not being there at all. If I bring the slider up a little bit, I can intensify the snow. Now I can also go into this little icon right here, and I can choose different snow patterns. So you can have big flakes like that, or you could have, something more blizzardy looking like that, or some of these more distinctive on a black background. They're very distinct. And let's go with that. And then you can strengthen make those brighter by sliding that slider. And then the snow fade, if I fade this back, it's doing like a gradient. So the snow is all the way at the top, and now I'm going to bring it down like that. So there may be times when you want to stop that from going all the way down. The last little icon here, I'll tap on that, and this is where you can either erase or restore the snow. So let's say, and it's a masking tool. Let's say you want the snow here in the background, but you don't want it covering the tree. So you can choose erase snow, then come in here with your finger and just erase the snow so it's not obscuring the tree. And now I don't know if you can tell, but the snow is no longer over the tree. Now, if I wanted to put it back, I would simply restore the snow and tap this little icon here, and notice how I put the snow back covering the tree. So it's just a little fun feature that you have there. So I am going to save this now. To save it, I'm going to come down to the home button, tap on that. And down here, I have a save icon, and I'm saving it to the camera roll. And let's go out and take a look. And there is our image with the snow. And let's see if I turn it sideways. Is it a little bigger? Yeah. So just a really fun effect with this. Now, the next thing I might do with this, if I wanted to, is I'm going to go out and choose lens light. So I've just swiped down. Lens light is not in my tray here. So I'm just going to type in lens. There it is right there, lens light. These are some of the others, Lens FX and Lens Flare, that are made by the same company. Let's take a look at lens light. This is what the interface looks like. I'm going to tap here to go get the photo that we've just been working on. There it is right there. I'm going to tap on that, and there's my photo. Now I could crop this or do some things with it. I've already done what I want with it, so I'm not going to do any editing here. I'm going to click the check mark to say, yep, that's the one I want to use. So now I want to add a star to the top of my tree. So I'm going to go down here to my effects, and I always forget which one of these I like, but let's go with these lens flares up at the very top. And so we've got all of these different lights here. You can see there's a button to go further. You can see there's a few more. So there's lots of different things that we could use here. There's some light circles. Let's go back here to maybe something very simple, like I don't know, like maybe like this distant quasar or something. The thing is, what you want to watch for, like here, this one, that's a great star, but it's got this arc that I don't necessarily want to include, kind of like a space thing. So let's try this distant quasar one right here. And there it is, popped into the screen. I'm going to move it up and put it on the top. And once I get it there, I can take 2 fingers and size it and everything. But what I'm going to do instead is to go to my edit button down here. And when I do, I have all of these different sliders here. I can increase the size or decrease the size. I can decrease the brightness. I can change the aspect so you can see how it's kind of twisting in different ways. Maybe something a little more like that. I can, the source is going to darken it as I darken the source light. And then there's also artifacts, which sometimes it'll leave little artifacts around the item, and it's not doing that there. So I'm not too worried about that. So there's our image now. If I wanted to change the color of the star, I could do that by sliding around. See how it's changing color as I move the marker on the color wheel. I'm just going to go back to the center. Let's keep it sort of yellow, white. And that's good. Now, the other thing that I can do here, we have filters in this tool, and I can go and choose one of these filters. And so once again, you have the option to kind of affect the end result by just shifting the tonality a little bit. Here's another look. That one's kind of interesting. I mean, you can see how you can shift these around. You get into some black and white if you want. Here's a blue one, which is kind of a cool, wintry look. Here's another kind of a sepia tone. And here's a green. So I'm going to go back to one of these. I kind of like maybe something like that, or even that blue one. Let's go with that. Once you have that, you've got, you can affect the brightness of it here by sliding back and forth. You can drop it down. I kind of like it dark, kind of gives it a sense of being at night. And then also you have textures here that you can select, and you can apply these textures. Because we've already done that with our image, I don't know that there's anything here that I would want, but one of the things that they have is this little light source here, and I kind of like that. If I tap on that, it gives me a little bit of light at the top. So play with these and find, you may find that you have something there that you want to use. Once you're ready and have your image the way you want, you go up here to your share icon, and it takes you back to the main area. You're going to tap share icon again. And now I'm just going to save it, and let's go out and look at the camera roll. And there's, oh, that's not it. Where'd it go? Did I not save it? Let me do that again. Save. Save. There we go. I think I missed the save button somehow. And there's our image. So again, just a really fun way of doing that. Let's go take a look at another one here. I want to show you how to use some other features in the masking tool. So let's see, let's go back to Glaze and let's go get another image here. Now, when you're ready to do another image, I just simply went down and tapped on the pictures here, and it'll ask you usually, do you want to discard and get a new image? So again, I'm going to go back out here to my trees, and I'm going to get this. Let's get this image. Get this image right here. Oh, it's going to download from the cloud. Give it a second. There it is. So this is a photograph from the Smoky Mountains a couple years ago. I just love these three trees together. And once again, we're in Glaze. So I'm gonna play around and experiment with the different looks that I can get here. So as I go through these, what I want to do is find one that's going to give me the holes in the branches that will give me sort of a transparency. So some of the ones that do that, the roses maybe a little bit, this whole group, which is really chaotic looking, but it gives you a really nice result. There's an interesting one right there. Let's see what that one does. So some of these, I mean, it's very hard even to replicate what I've done before unless I take specific notes. The reason I'm choosing this one is because I can see I've got little holes in this. So when I make it a transparency, that texture behind is going to show through. So let's go ahead and do our mask. So down here, I'm going to choose this icon right here. And I've got our mask. I'm going to choose the brush. I'm going to tap on the transparency icon on the left. And then I'm just going to make sure that I paint in those three trees. And I want to make sure I get all of it. And this is going to end up looking like one big tree, which is kind of my intent here on this one. But and you'll have these little ideas as you're doing this and decide, I want to try this or that or whatever. And so there's our mask. I'm going to tap the check mark so we can preview that. And there's our tree now. And I think what I did, it doesn't look like a Christmas tree anymore. So what I want to do, I want to make sure, I don't think I got out to the sides on this the way I could have. So I do want to make it triangular if I can. And if I need to erase, I'm going to select the eraser and come in there and try and get some of that. So now let's see what it looks like. That looks more like a Christmas tree, kind of what I was going for. And if we look, we've got these little marks across the bottom. That's kind of a really cool look. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and save that. By the way, as you tap on the screen, you can tap to see the whole image like I'm seeing it right now. If you tap again, your tools will reappear. So they haven't gone away. They just are hidden for a minute. So now I'm going to go down and tap the share icon. Once again, I'm going to see the large is bigger than the source. So I'm going to choose that and tap the gallery. Sometimes it'll give you this warning saying that it's going to be such a big file, but it's not really. And typically it doesn't give me a problem. So there we go. It saved to the photo gallery. Let's go take a look at it. And there is our tree. Kind of interesting. It's got some color up in the top and so on. But it looks like it's going to make a good blend. So this time I'm going to go into Image Blender instead of, okay, so we're looking at what we worked on before. What I'm going to do is simply go get a different texture. So I'm going to tap on that, choose remove. So I've removed the image that was there before. I'm going to tap the little box again, and I'm going to go out to my photos, and I'm going to navigate again to my albums that I created. And this time I'm going to go into Distressed FX. And some of these, if you hold your finger down, you can preview them. They're most of them are horizontal, but there are a couple in here that I have saved out to and rotated them to make them vertical. So I think this one right here is one. So there's a vertical. Let's choose that vertical orientation. And the reason I do that is because that's the background, and the image is going to take on the aspect ratio and the size of that background image. So what I want to do now, we still have our previous image in there. I'm going to tap on that. I'm going to do two things. remember when we were doing that previous image, we used the arrange tool and we sized that tree down. What I'm going to do is reset that. So we take off the, reset the arrange. See how the tree got bigger. So now I'm going to remove that tree by tapping down here. And then I'm going to tap the box again and go out to my photos. And there is the transparency from Glaze that I want to get. So I'm going to tap on that. And there is our tree on that background. Now, again, our blend modes are going to determine how that blends. Look at that. That's kind of cool. There's one you can't even see it with overlay. You can barely see it, a faint line. Some of these are not showing us anything. Let's see, there's lighten, there's color dodge, color burn. So you can see each one of these gives us a different look, and I think they're really interesting. But here's where it gets fun. Let's go back. This is the, let's look at normal. Oh, let's do this one. This is the screen. So, and I can come down here and slide back and forth to however much I want, but I'm going to keep it like that. So let's keep that the way it is. And what I want to do now, let's save a couple of these first. So let's save that to the photos, and then let's choose another one of these that's kind of dramatic. Let's choose that one, and we'll save that to photos. And let's do one more that's a little dramatic or got some strange things. So there's that blue. I'm going to save that. So now, if we look in the camera roll, I've saved that. Didn't give me the other one. Did I only save two? I guess I did. That's fine. So I've saved two of those. I thought I saved that one too. Let me go ahead and do that again. Save. And let's just go look in the camera roll. There it is. So now there's a dark version, a blue version, and a white version. Well, let's go back to Image Blender. One of the cool things you can do here, up here at the share icon, when I tap on that, I can save it. I could open it in another tool, which I rarely do, but you can also flatten it. Well, flattening it, when you flatten the image, it's going to combine the background and the foreground into one panel. So let's flatten. And what it's just done, it's put both images, the background and the foreground, over here on this side. So they now have become the background. So what I'm going to do now is blend in one of those other saves that I did from Image Blender. So let's tap on that. Let's go to Photos. And let's just try this blue one. I don't know what it's going to do. We may not like it at all, but let's try it. So there's the blue coming in. And that's what it looks like in the screen mode, but let's go to normal. And now normal, I can kind of go back and forth. And again, I'm looking for, there's another one here. If I bring this up, I'm adding blue to the image. It's very abstract, but I like that. And this one, this is, I think, is that color burn or, yeah, color burn. So now we've got something that's really kind of psychedelic. And again, you can back that off and play with it, and you've got something different. So there are an unlimited number of different possibilities, and it's about whatever you want to do that floats your boat to make this work. At any point at this time, we can save it again. If we wanted to, we could flatten it again. And now we could go out and grab yet another version of something here. Let's go to our photos. You could either, you could choose any of these that we've saved, or you could go back to this original one. Let's just try that and see what that adds here. And so if we go to normal, so now as I slide back and forth between the image on the left and the image on the right, you can see how we're combining and getting some really interesting looks. So at this point, I mean, you could also, I mean, this just could go on. If we save to the photos, you could also go back to Glaze, choose that image, mask it. Going in here, I'm going very fast, and I'm just masking that tree and this under here. And I don't know what I'm going to get. This is kind of what I do. And sometimes I'm happy and sometimes I'm not. So style, let's see. Select a style glaze. Okay, so we didn't make a change to the image. So I guess I have to, let me back out of that. I have to choose one of these styles. Oh, and so, you know what's happening here, because we didn't exit glaze, it's remembering the mask that we had on the previous image. So that's kind of cool. So it's taking that new image and it's doing this new blend to it, which is pretty good. I like that. Go in here and mask that. We'll save that. And now there is our new glaze. We'll save that out to the gallery. Go take a look. And now we have another image here that we can use. We can pull that into Image Blender. So everything is on the left now. Let's see, did I flatten that? Let's flatten it, see what happens. Okay, and now it's flattened, and I can go get an image from here. I'll go get photo and choose that. And now I've added another kind of dimension. So, you know, you can really get some richness with this by repeating these blending sequences and so on. And so at some point, let's save this out. Save that to the photos. And I'm going to remove both of these images, and I'm going to get a different texture. So going out to my texture folder, let's try something lighter. I think, let's see. Again, some of these I changed to, here, oops, I don't want that one. Let's remove that. The one that I wanted to get is this one, I believe. Nope, that's not the right one. Let's see. There it is. That's the vertical one that I wanted. And again, all I did was went into my textures. It was a horizontal image, and I spun it to be vertical using the editor. So there's our background, and let's go get our photograph here. And now, oops, sliding. I'm sliding that across the bottom, and then again, you can look at your different filters, or blend modes rather, and kind of change that to get some really interesting looks. So there we go. So you get the idea, a lot of different ways you can do this. So let's go back. Again, I'm going to remove this and remove that. And I want to go back to the photos. I'm going to grab a texture. And let's choose, let me think here. Well, let's try this one right here. So notice this is a vertical texture. And then I'm going to go out to my photos again, and I'm going to get one of these trees. Let's, so which one do I want to get? Well, let's get this. I don't know what this is going to do. Okay, so now I'm going to go to arrange, and I'm going to squeeze that down, and I'm going to kind of put it over here on the right and save that arrangement. And then I'm going to look at my blend modes and see, do I want to change that a little bit? Ooh, that's kind of cool. So let's do that. Now I'm going to flatten this image. So now I've got the tree on the and the texture both over on the left, and I can add another tree if I want. So I'm going to go to my photos. Once again, I'm going to get I think that's the one I used right there. And I'm going to arrange, and see, it put the tree right on top. So I'm going to move it in there. I'm going to make the one in the middle a little bigger, something like that. Save that, and then I can play with my blend modes here a little bit. And then I'm going to flatten that. And I could go through and look at all these different blend modes and really see, if there's something in there that's doing something really cool. I actually kind of like that difference pretty much. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that. I'm going to flatten that. And now I'm going to go out and get one more tree from the photos. Again, it's that one right there. And we can't see it because it's put it right on top of the other tree. So I'm going to choose the arrange mode and see how I can just slide it. I can take 2 fingers and I can make it smaller if I want. And I could make it symmetrical with the other one or whatever, but let's go ahead and do something like that and save. And there are our images. And let's see, again, we can play with the blend modes. There's a multiply, a screen, kind of like the multiply. And there is our new image with this, again, an abstract of these different textures and colors. And I'll go ahead and save that to photos. And we can go take a look at it. And there's our new image. And now we could take it in and add light effects or do other things to it using lens light or some of the other things that I've mentioned. A lot of times, once I get to this stage, I'll copy this and open it in SnapSeed. So I just copied that image. I'm going to press my finger on the SnapSeed icon and paste the image. And this is opening it up into SnapSeed. Now, I know many of you are familiar with SnapSeed, but if you haven't used it very much, there are some free videos on my YouTube channel that go into how to use different aspects of it. And then I also have a video for purchases, like a 90-minute video that really goes into the depths of SnapSeed and explains all the tools and everything. I like to come into SnapSeed with this because I like to go up here to the Tune Image tool. And I can play with some of these different variables here. Like I can change the highlights in the image. I can play with shadows. And so you can see how dropping the shadows darkens the image a little bit. I can play with ambiance, which ambiance does some really interesting things to the image. I can play with contrast. And what's really interesting to me with this is that I can save that. And then let's say I want to go and do one more edit here. And let's go to details and structure. If I zoom in on that and take my structure up, I can really intensify the graphics of this. There's before and there's after. Now, what I want to do, though, I don't want that effect over the whole image. Let's go to sharpen and sharpen that also. So now there's before and there's after, and I'm holding my finger on the screen to show the before and the after. Let's commit to that. Now, what I want to do, though, I want that effect that I just did, the sharpening and structure, to just be on the trees. So I'm going to come up here to the history button right here and choose View Edits. And when I do, I get the details panel. These are the layers that we've done. We did a tune image, and then we did that sharpening. Well, what I want to do is tap on that details. Now, I have 3 things I can do. I could throw it away. I could go in and tweak it a little bit more with the sliders, or I can use the brush. This is where our masking feature is in SnapSeed. So I'm going to tap the brush. Let me turn this sideways so you can see it bigger. And what it's telling me right now, it's showing me this image without that last sharpening and structure adjustment applied. It's telling me that it's going to put 100% of that sharpening and structure adjustment wherever I tell it to. So I'm going to take my finger and paint on the screen, and I'm telling it to apply the structure and sharpening just to this part of the image, not the clouds and things behind it. Now, the reason I'm seeing that red, there's a little blue eyeball over here that you can toggle that on and off, and it lets you see where you've hit and missed. If you make a mistake, oops, I didn't mean to do that. There's no erase button exactly. What you have to do is drop the value here down to 0. And now it's at 0, and I can go in here and erase my mistake. And I switch back to 100 and paint it in. And you can actually choose, you don't have to go all the way to 100%. You could choose something less than 100 if you wish, and it will affect the way it looks. So now I'm going to click the check mark. And there is my image. And again, I just love the texture of that. There's before and there's after. Maybe you like it more before. But the other thing that I often do here in SnapSeed, I love the tool called Vintage right here. It's this one with a little lampshade. When you tap on that, you have 12 different palettes of tonality that you can apply to your image. And see how as I choose each one, it kind of changes the tone and color. There's one right there. And then once you make your selection of whatever of these you want, you can then slide up and down here. You can brighten it. You can drop the, it's got a 30% vignette that's default, or you can leave it. I kind of like that vignette on this. So now it's just changing that image. And there we have our image. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and save it. Choose the share icon. I always save a copy. It allows you to have your original without any changes. And the copy, if you choose to open it later, will let you go in and edit the layers that you've added in SnapSeed. So go ahead, save that. And let's go take a look in the camera roll. And there's our image. I think it's really cool. And then we could play with that a little bit more. We could blend other things with it, add lights to it, and so on. Let's take a look at one other thing here. I want to show you this one. It was just one of my favorites. I'm going to go back to Glaze. And there it is. And open Glaze. Oh, I've got it sideways, and it's going to let me do that. That's cool. So I'll go to the photos here, and I'm going to go to my trees. And I want to get this one right here. Tap on that. And there's our tree. And again, I'm going to go and take a look at some of these different filters that I like in this eye. And I encourage you to look at all the different ones here. There's dozens of them, and I encourage you to look at them all. You might find something that you like. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Here's one where you just get the little speckles, which can be really cool. Let's see. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to go ahead now. I've got that look. And I'm going to choose my mask down at the bottom, the little X icon. Make sure my brush is there. I'm going to change it to a transparency. And now I'm going to go and just very loosely paint in. And again, I wish you could make the brush bigger and do all that stuff. But if it can be done, I haven't found it. Maybe you'll discover something I haven't. But anyway, I'm going to get that top. And then I want to make sure that I get the trunk down here, and that I come across this way. Now, notice I got kind of really wide on the trunk. So what I'm going to do is use the eraser, and I'm going to come in here and make sure that I just get the trunk there like that. And then I might try and minimize some of that. So now there's our mask. Let's hit the check mark and see what we get. So now, there's our, that's pretty cool. So what I notice is that there's no tree trunk. So let's go back to our mask for just a second. And I want to see what I did. Can I do anything to, let's see how that does. That's a little better. We got a little bit of piece down there, but that's okay. It's an abstract. So at this point, I'm going to save this, and I'm going to choose the gallery. And yeah, that's okay. And let's go look at that image in the camera roll. And there it is. Very cool. And now let's go into Image Blender. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first reset all the arrangements that we did. And then I'm going to remove that image. Then I'm going to go to the left one over here, and I'm going to remove that image. So now I'm going to go out and get a texture. And let's get something from here. Let's get this aqua one here. I think that'll go good with the yellow. And then let's go and get the photo that we just did. And there it is. And notice again, it's larger than the background. So what we want to do is go up here to the arrange icon, take 2 fingers and bring that tree, kind of size it and position it where we want it, something maybe like that. Save that arrangement. And now there is our tree. And if we go through these different blend modes, I mean, I think this is really cool. So here now, talk about a really nice abstract. There is our tree with that background. And I would call that done. I'm gonna be done with it. Now I can slide the opacity here and change that. I can go through and look at, here's one that turns it green. Here's one that turns it purple. Just the different blend mode instructions are causing it to have these different looks. So again, you've got lots of options, and you can do what we did before, where you save a few of these, flatten the image, and then blend them together with each other, and it can turn out to be really fun. I'm going to stick with, I like this yellow on aqua, so I'm going to keep that, and then I'm going to save this to my photos. And then as a last step, I'm going to go find that image, paste to SnapSeed. So what I'm going to do now is go into my tools and choose Tune Image. And I might go down, I might saturate the image a little bit. If I go down and warm it up, it's gonna kind of warm up the background and everything with it, which is kind of good. I mean, I like that. And then once again, what I might do here is go out to my vintage tool and look at that. I can see now what vintage is going to allow me to do with this image, and I really like that. I really like that look, like that with the strong vignette. And you can adjust that though. You can back that vignette off a little bit. You can brighten the rest of the image and keep the vignette deep. So there are just a number of things you can do there. And then you can also, choose different of these filters. But I think that's just a really cool look. I'm going to save that out to my camera roll. And there we have it. Let's just do one more look at the lens light again. If we go back in here, I'm going to get lens light, open it up. This is the one for adding different effects and looks, some of the like light effects. So I'll choose that. I'll grab our image. I'll say, yeah, let's use that one. There it is. And if I go to effects, oh gosh, I don't know. Let's, I guess we'll go back, let's do the sun collection this time. And you can see there's all these different things. There's another panel here. Oh, I don't know. Let's choose something like that. And I can bring that up, put it at the top of the tree if I want. And then I can edit that, and I can make it smaller. I can change the aspect ratio a little bit of it. I can brighten it or darken it. I can darken it with the source. And if there's any artifacts, I can eliminate those. So now we've got, something like that. There's so many different ways you could do this. And we could go into our filters, and again, play with the tonality. Ooh, I like that. Kind of a nice blue looking tonality to it. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. And let's take a look. So there's our image. I mean, you can see how you can just kind of go crazy with the possibilities here of playing with this, creating these abstracts. I think trees are wonderful subjects for this because of the holes you can create between the branches and the leaves. Well, that's everything I wanted to share with you. I want to thank you again for being here and participating today. I really enjoy sharing this with you. I will include a link in the description in YouTube. The other video that I did on Warble, that's a free video that's out there on YouTube, and I'll let you take a look at that if you wish. Thanks a lot for being here. I hope you have a great holiday and enjoy your family and friends, and just stay safe out there. I hope to see you in the coming year online, or better yet, in the field. Thanks a lot, everyone. Happy holidays.